What's up, guys? It took me a while to get my camera set up today. I tried to go to a nice park, and I've never been to this park before. It's actually pretty cool. I don't know if you guys can see, kind of overlooking over the Columbia Basin here. That's the Columbia in the background. Where is it? Hold on. Like Yakima runs into the Columbia right here. So that's the Columbia behind me. That's coming from the north. So that's north. I'm looking south. I don't know why any of this matters. I'm a nerd when it comes to geography. I love getting out and looking around things and, looking to see how things were formed, right? We've got all these small hills around here. Candy Mountain's right here. Or no, Candy Mountain is over there. That's Badger Mountain over there. Yeah. So, yeah. So, what's today? And this is actually, this video is about why I generally don't do tarot card readings. I don't have anything against tarot card readings, but I'll tell you why. And it has to do with state of reality, right? And why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I constantly have to rethink. I was reading something from on an email of somebody that I know. I think it was somebody I did a podcast with. Um, and she was talking about how, everyone's, gifts are being heightened, your spiritual gifts. People talk about, people create a business model around spiritual gifts. And I'll tell you why that's not such a great idea. And that's kind of the point of this movie or this video. Because, and it's kind of why I don't do tarot card readings, um, generally speaking. Now, there's nothing wrong with helping people with something spiritually, right? Try to educate each other and say, hey, look, you're missing something here. And I would love to get feedback of maybe something that I'm missing. But it has to do with pouring your energy into or breathing into unconscious energy. Now, there's nothing wrong with breathing into unconscious energy that's relative to you, right? Like, or if I take my hat off, then I'm staring into the sun. I got to keep my head on. I don't care about the shade over my eyes because it keeps the sun out of my eyes. Anyway, um, if you're breathing into something unconscious that's not relative to your level of consciousness in space time, most of the time you're kind of wasting your energy, right? So, especially if you're expanding your awareness. Now, traditionally, people say, well, you can use your spiritual gifts to help people become more aware of what they're doing. It's like, well, technically, yeah. But if you're feeding off of somebody's state energetically in their negative state, not only that, but if they're coming to you because they don't trust themselves, how do you get to them to the point where they do trust themselves? Right? If you're constantly looking outside of yourself to how you're not going to connect with your intuition by going through somebody else's intuition, right? Can't do it. I can't coach you to trust your own intuition. The only way that you can do that for you is for you to go through the experience of trusting your own intuition, what your higher self is guiding you to do. You can't pay somebody to do that. So listening to, like, if you get online and all you're doing is just listening to like YouTube readings or tarot card readings all the time, what are you doing? Either you know or you don't know. Now, you might see something that resonates with you, and that's great. But the group collective, me making a YouTube video, I'm not really breathing into, I technically am, I'm providing content for y'all, and I'll continue to do that just because, we all have different perspectives and we all should be, letting people know, our what we see in the world around us. And that's a healthy thing to do, right? Um, but I can't, right? Because none of us are any better than anybody else. And the only way to really heighten your sense of self-awareness and really listen to what's going on around you is to be able to um, work with your own energetic levels and breathing into the people around you and see what kind of return you get. And you'll pull yourself out of karmic cycles by doing that and unconsciously put people in karmic cycles if they're prioritizing something that's unconscious over you. That's the key, right? Because if I'm prioritizing, let's say, money over a relationship, then now that's still a little bit of a tricky area too, right? Because, you know, I've done my best and I've always questioned myself as to whether or not, and it's the best thing to do, always question yourself, question your own motivations, question why you're doing something that you're doing. Because if I'm, um, and it has to do with the family structure, right? How are you, how are you structuring a family? For me personally, I'm at the age where I don't mind kids. I love kids, but I'm kind of in the place where I just want to travel more. I'm not wanting to raise kids, and I don't want to travel with kids. I would rather, if I was going to raise kids again, I'd want to be planted in one spot and, you know, provide a solid community base for them, right? I mean, traveling with kids is pretty hard on kids because they military kids will tell you this all the time, right? They'll lose kind of your sense of identity, especially when you got to go from school to school to school, and um, he doesn't feel like you've got, you know, you're building relationships because you're not. You're just moving from school to school to school. So traveling isn't really a healthy thing for kids to do. Um, and so, you know, if your goals don't align with maybe whoever you're potentially seeing, then that's okay, right? Because maybe, um, you know, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, hey, look, it's not the right time for us. Maybe it will be in the future. I don't know. Who knows, right? Because I'm a firm believer that there isn't anybody that is too good or not good enough for any of us, right? I mean, I've always thought about that, and the only reason I've never gotten, I did get into the relationships I did, and the reason why I got into them when I did, and I made mistakes that I did was because it was all about sex, right? Or it was about the wrong thing, not just about sex, but maybe a relationship that was imbalanced in a certain way. And there's always balance there. You don't realize it until later because usually you know, you're attracting somebody who is in the same state that you are. Um, so when it comes to this whole thing, right, is you're learning how to breathe energetically, breathe out and breathe in, and have faith that um, your heart space is in the right place. And it's the reason why I don't offer coaching services. I can't coach anybody to make decisions for them. Now, a lot of coaches will argue, well, you're just there to be present for them. Okay. Well, are you coaching them to become a coach? What do they do as an entrepreneur, right? You want somebody to be free from the system, right? The matrix, call it what you will. So, how do you do that? If you're charging somebody money for a service, you're in the matrix. I hate to tell you this, but you are. You're in the matrix. The only way to really get out of the matrix is to ascend to a level of consciousness where you can pop in and out of 3D reality whenever you want. So unless you can do that, um, don't say that you're not in the matrix because all of us, have, if you want coffee, you're going to have to go put money in your pocket and go buy it, right? Or now there's another thing here. There is magic, right? There is the belief that you'll be taken care of, regardless of how you, the love that you show for other people, and uh, not trading for unconscious energy. Because money, chairs, cars, you know, that's all unconscious energy, right? It's just structure that's not, has no relative consciousness in space time to us. Now, if we were inside that field, let's say if I was inside the atom that's in the paper of the currency that I'm looking at. Maybe you'd be a being that be relative in consciousness within that field, super, infinitely small. But we're not communicating with those. Maybe there's an altered reality there that we are communicating with. We just don't know it, right? But at the same time, if to relative to us, it's meaningless. And that's why idolatry is such a big deal. Idolatry is a very big deal, and you really have to understand what's going on. If you're putting any image around you in front of the relationships of like real people, then that's idolatry. Um, Charging money for coaching services is idolatry. Yeah, because what do you coach? None of us are better than anybody else. they all, all that any of us ever wanted is to be loved, is to love and be loved energetically, and it all comes from here. Anything that gets projected here is coming from here, right? And so if your heart's out of balance, then you'll see somebody out of balance and you'll say, well, you need to pay me money because I got something you need. You can't pay for love. Never be able to. So every system that we have on this planet, and that's why Earth is just this big learning school, is based off of false perceptions of reality and pouring your energy into something that's unconscious, thinking that that's going to make you happy, like, owning a car or a better house or a bigger house. Oh, I got a big house now, but it's just not quite enough. I need a bigger house, or I need a faster car, or I need a more luxurious car, or it's a never-ending black hole. Scripture talks about it. You can end up in a black hole instead of feeling whole. When you feel whole, then you'll be whole. And then there's nothing you'll start to understand much more about yourself and what you're doing. And so, the purpose of this video is basically to encourage you guys to stay in your creative energy and create something that manifests itself in physical reality. And then you could sell that, right? Because you're just trading unconscious energy for unconscious energy. A book is unconscious, but your consciousness was pouring into that thing. So you're kind of selling information to help yourself, right? When it comes to emotional support, there's nothing wrong with emotionally supporting somebody, but charging somebody money to support them emotionally is like pouring energy into from your field into something that's unconscious and making someone pay for being unconscious instead of just showing them the way. The only way is the way that Jesus taught. And that's why he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. What did he mean by that? He meant to give up following after the creation because you are the creator. And that until you learn that you are the creator, you'll constantly be searching after the creation. And that's when life becomes magical. That's when you become the creator of your own health and mental state and uh, love for yourself, and then show that love for other people. And they'll constantly question you because you're not driven by materialism or anything that's in the 3D. It just doesn't make sense, right? Because that's not what we are. We're not that thing. We're just using this vessel to access this dimension, the same thing that everything else that you're seeing is. It's part of its source, accessing this through a different states of energy, different structures relative to space-time. Yeah. And so my ultimate goal is ultimately to have people working together, creating their own reality and breathing into one another without. And if you try to create differences of potential in that system where you monetize someone's time differently than someone else's time, you're pouring yourself into wasted energy because you're just feeding into something that's unconscious, right? So every form of feeding into unconscious energy, it happens. I mean, think about what positions we have in society that are created from feeding into unconscious energy. When you really think about it and you really dig into it, I can't think of a profession that isn't built around feeding into unconsciousness. What profession out there is built around breathing into each other and creating together inequality? Now, if you're to do that, if you're not comfortable with yourself, then you will face every kind of insecurity that you'll go through, worried that the person standing next to you is going to get you, or that they're not worth as much as you because maybe they're at a different state of awareness, but they're probably aware of things that you're not, and you're probably aware of things that they're not. Right? It's like what? It's like looking through a beautiful canvas or a rainbow or fruit flavors. Right? Yeah. And on the flip side, I've always thought about, you know, is there a negative aspect to trying to do something like that, right? Trying to get people to work together in equality. I don't know. I used to think so. For one thing, you don't want to get people too codependent on other people, but you'll know when codependency shows up in relationships because they'll want to do their own thing and then just depend on your source of income. That's the problem with this planet, right? Is because as soon as you start creating a source of income within a group, you'll have people that just feed off of that and just kind of keep to themselves and just really not breathe into one another anymore. Um, then that gets self-destructive in and of itself, right? So, yeah. Let you guys, make comments if you want to make. I mean, I don't get too many comments. Seth, he makes comments on my channel. I think the last time he said, the joke's on you, I don't have a heart. It's like, well, I wasn't talking to you specifically. And if you think you don't have a heart, well, maybe you're a robot. Unless if you're an organism, you have a heart and there's an energetic signature around it. You know, you can try and close your heart chakra off as much as you can, but you can go through various degrees of closing it off, but there's no way that you can close it off 100%. If you die, you're dead, right? You'll cease to exist in this three-dimensional reality. Your three-dimensional heart will kick the bucket. And then you'll ascend to a higher state and then remember who you are again and then probably decide to come back as whatever, who knows. I always wondered, if you would want to come back as a bug, right? Like an ant and become part of an ant colony. I don't know what you guys think about that one. Or a bee colony. Bee colonies and ant colonies are really similar. The way they have soldier ants, soldier bees, and kind of a protection system for the queen bee, the queen ant, the the one who lays all the eggs to create the whole little village and community. Those societies really interesting to me. The way nature is really interests me. It's always a womb in every way. There's always a womb of creation. So women are this just, the feminine is this infinite potential. And then to be created. And that's actually why you'll see, if you really pay attention and you watch tarot card videos, most of them are predominantly women because women are really tuned into their intuition, generally speaking, a lot better than men are. And they're always reading from the group collective. They're not really creating anything new. Um, the masculine is the creative energy. That's when you're creating something new, right? A new idea or something. So And the masculine has to be in such a state of surrender uh, compared to the feminine. I mean, they're both in a state of surrender, but the feminine always picks her mate. It's not the guy. And so if you've got, if you're not, if you got guys that are just sleeping with a lot of different women, they're pretty much ignoring their own spirituality, right? What's the point of that? I mean, you're just wasting your energy. You're just destroying yourself energetically. Um, and same thing with women. Right? If all you're doing is sleeping with a bunch of guys trying to figure out which one you want to pick, then you're doing the same thing. You're just wasting yourself energetically. I mean, you can do it, right? You get it out of your system, breathing into each other repetitiously, but usually you're gonna have it's because of a negative emotional attachment, right? You feel like you need to get that thing. I guess there's healthy spiritual sexual relationships. I've always wondered. I've never been involved with any non-committal, um, open sexually spiritual relationships. And I know they're out there. I don't know. What do you guys think about that one in the comments? Do you guys believe in the divine meant to be together, male and female? Is that something you guys believe in? I don't know. What do I believe? I think I remain pretty much open. I I don't have any preconceived ideas about much, but I do know about energy. And I do know about wasting your energy on things that don't serve you. And if there's a lot of stuff here that is that, right? Pouring your energy into making money ain't gonna make you happy. It's just gonna keep you wanting because it's not gonna love you back. It never will. The only thing you can really do is find somebody who wants to create with you and create a partnership with her where you want to create together and try and heal the people around you. Because why wouldn't you want to do that? Because that's how you're going to do that, right? Is you're going to breathe into the people around you, and you want to not waste your time breathing into people that want to create some kind of hierarchical system where somebody's got to be in front of you talking all the time. Uh-uh. That ain't me. I'm not going to be at the top of a pew, maybe briefly, but if you're not willing to come up there and talk, then I ain't going to waste my energy on you. Right? Not going to do it because I want to hear your story more than I want to hear mine. I already know what my stories are, and I get tired. That's why I don't make a lot of YouTube videos because I generally don't, you know, want to keep rehashing over the same stories over. It's kind of stupid. Right? So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this content. I don't know what video I'm going to make next, but I felt called to make this video just because, um, yeah, hopefully there's a growing awareness of what I'm talking about, and all these coaching, consulting services and unhealed business models, they're all based on the same thing. You're all just pouring your money, your time and energy into something that's just not relative to you whatsoever. Right? So, that's the only reason why there's not a crystal city sitting behind me. Can you imagine what would happen if 1 million people who could make decisions together that didn't try to control one another started working together in a natural way and breathing into one another? What they would create as a community. It'd be the most amazing thing ever. You'd have groups of people making the most amazing music together and building things that would last forever. Because why wouldn't you? Right? Love you guys. Have a beautiful day. And I'll catch you on the next one.